Welcome to Speak Out. I'm Sandy Galef, a member of the New York State Assembly, representing parts of northern Westchester and parts of Putnam County. And today we're going to be talking about a very exciting and a very important project that's going on along the Hudson River in the Phillipstown Beacon area. And I think we will all love it when it's done and participate in the wonderful hiking and other opportunities that come along. And this is all about the Hudson Highland Fjord Trail. And I have two special guests with me today. One is Dar Williams, who's a community organizer and the chair of the Friends Group. But also Dar is a wonderful singer and a musician. So we welcome you here, Dar.
Thank you.
And we have Mark Wildonger, who is the senior planner at Scenic Hudson. And Scenic Hudson has really taken a lead on this project, although there are a whole lot of groups, I must say, that are involved with trying to make this all happen. So, Mark, let's start out. What are you trying to accomplish for the public in our area?
What we're trying to accomplish, and this was really the vision of the town of Phillipstown back in 2007, the Town Greenway Committee, led by Mike McKee and Hank Osborne at the time. And their vision at the time was they realized that Route 9D, getting from Cold Spring to the very popular trailheads, more specifically at Breakneck Ridge, was a dangerous endeavor. You were relegated to the shoulder of the roads, cars were going 55 miles an hour, and they wanted to create a more inviting environment, providing pedestrian and bicycle facilities along that corridor so people could get safely from Cold Spring to the trailheads. So what we would like to do in this trail is really expand it. Look at the subregion between Beacon and Cold Spring. Both are emerging hubs in outdoor recreation and have emerging central business districts. So I think it would be great if we could really link up those two communities with the outdoor recreation facilities that are already there by providing these bicycle and pedestrian facilities for all ages and all abilities.
I'm always so amazed because I'm on Route 9D a lot as I'm going into, Garrison, Cold Spring, Nelsonville area, which is in the town of Phillipstown. As I'm driving along, just even way back actually in Garrison, there are people that are hiking that have their cars on the side of the road. They're stopping at the delis to get a sandwich in between, to take up the mountain or when they're coming down. And then as you get to that tunnel, when you're on 9D, before you go into Dutchess County, again, it's just accumulation of cars all over the place. And, it's amazing how many people come out. And I guess on a railroad, too, people are coming out by train, so I don't see their cars. And Dora, have you been a climber? Are you one of these people that... I am not. I have to fess up. I am not. But
you know what? I'm not as much a climber as an opportunity taker, as a person who loves to kind of see where the heat is building in the community and try to create projects around making the good better. So that's actually more my connection. But there is a beautiful trail close to Cold Spring called Taurus Mountain, and you could go up and it takes you to this bluff, and it's really not hard, and then you can see West Point, and you can see your house and things like that. So we've taken the family up there a lot. I mean, it's an important part of our lives.
So people can do a small amount of climbing and a very significant amount of climbing. For, I guess some people may go for days. I don't know in all this.
Yeah, I think one of the goals too, again, is we want visitors to come for these outdoor recreation assets and resources in the Hudson Highland State Park and beyond. But we also want them to visit our special downtowns in Beacon and Cold Spring. So if people are arriving by train, the trailheads are right there at their front door, but we want to make sure that there are those facilities to get people safely to Beacon to have lunch, to have dinner, and even spend the night if this project can almost be a catalyst for overnight accommodations in these two areas and again beyond.
Well, there are some bed and breakfasts, I know, in some of the areas, and that would expand on it even more. I think I've been reading that through a lot of people come to do hiking in this area from other countries, other states. that has just become known as one of the best places to come, or one of the best places to
It's a
come?
day trip.
Yeah, Newsweek has rated it one of the top 10 day hikes in North America, and it is the #1 trail rated on trails.com. So and I think part of the reason is because you're hitting that New York City market. So folks that are coming abroad can fly into New York City, they can do their city things, and then when they want to reach out to some of the more natural areas just outside New York City, it's only an hour train ride or an hour 15 train ride up, and they can easily do this day hike and experience some of the resources here in the Hudson Valley.
Right.
Yeah.
It's such a wonderful magnet, and of course having the mountains on the side of the Hudson River,
Yeah.
which is truly amazing. I know you, Dora, were really infatuated with the Hudson River, I think, early on, weren't you? As a place to live.
Yeah. Well, I didn't. Growing up, I grew up in Westchester, and my parents used to take us to Anthony's Nose and Breakneck Ridge to go hiking, and we couldn't believe that people could live here. I mean, I think you grow up and you go, wait a minute, I'm going to live in that cool place that distant fairy tale land where we climb a mountain and we looked at this beautiful river and the military academy, and so yeah, it feels like that at some point of every day to feel that connection. And as you know, Pete Seeger lived up 9D from us as well, and so you kind of feel that grandfatherly, witness of sort of blessing of the area. And I think some people have come up with a similar sort of sense of the history and the beauty and the folklore, but the only problem is that it's chaos. I mean, it's just like if you start a company and it's really popular and suddenly there's lines around the blocks, but unfortunately it's cars around the block,
Right.
and it's just not safe.
And actually, it
So-
isn't safe. I think the speed is 50, 55 or something
At
in
certain
that area.
places. I mean,
Right.
it's just
And
there's
you
a lot
have
of
cars and hikers and
chaos.
children. And
Well, we have my husband and Sue Peel put together a traffic video and they sped it up just to show what it would look like in time lapse. But it's really kind of a cliffhanger to see if people are going to survive their own parking, because it's like these people come in, they're from Brooklyn, like sometimes in rented cars, so they're not experienced drivers, and they're not wearing great shoes, and they'll take out a dog and a hiking backpack and things and on this eroded shoulder, and it's so exciting to have that kind of attention, and we feel like it's deserved. I mean, these are really special trails, and they're extensive, and once you're on the trail, they're really well marked. I mean, the whole thing really works as long as you can get there. So I love tourists. Their cars can be a problem, but I love showing people where we live and saying, this is what's special, this is what's special. So yeah, I feel kind of like an ambassador.
Right. So it started that long ago that Phillipstown said we need to do something, and since then I know I've been to some meetings, and there have been many more meetings with the community, and you've organized those to reach out and find out what the community wants. Is that how you
Right, exactly.
proceeded with this?
Public participation is a huge part of this project. We don't want to just build a trail based upon the stakeholders that we've been talking to, the Metro North, New York State Parks, and New York State Department of Transportation, among others. But again, we want to hear what the community's vision is for this project. We've heard from private property owners in the area who have said people come by lost, not knowing where the train station is or where the trails are, or if they can use our
So
bathroom.
maybe a few signs
So-
or maps or whatever,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
So
Right.
again, we want to hear from those folks to hear what their concerns are, but also what their opportunities are. There are fishermen in the area who've said, we've been cut off to the Hudson Riverfront because of the railroad. Can we have access so that we can go fishing? Or if we can provide opportunities for people to actually experience the Hudson River on the river, would be a great accomplishment. So again, we really want the public involved in this so that what ultimately gets built is a reflection of their vision. So we've had a public meeting back in February as part of the master plan process, and we plan on having another public meeting in June, more or less of looking at the alignments that the consultant has come up with and asking, have we got this right? Based upon your input from the first public meeting where you gave us sky's the limit.
Well, I remember every table, if that was
Yeah,
the meeting I went to,
exactly.
every table had a different part of
That's right.
the map for people to sit down who really, I guess, understood the different feet of this and half a mile of this section or whatever,
Exactly.
to give their input, which was really great.
Yeah.
Exactly. So right now the consultant is crunching all that data. They've developed a few alignments. They're going to fine tune a little bit more, and then we'll go back to the public in June and ask how we got this right, and then they'll go back and fine tune it a little bit more, and then hopefully later in the summer we'll have a preferred alignment as well as a couple alternatives and some cost estimates as well.
How many miles are we talking about in all this? Do you have any idea?
Looking at between Cold Spring and Beacon, it's about 9 miles, and the project scope, the geographic scope of the project, is really from the Cold Spring train station to the Beacon train station, and then some points in between.
Yeah, and there's a hope, considering we've got really ambitious projects that have been so cool, like the High Line in New York City and the West Side Highway, the park there, and then the walkway over the Hudson. So, of course, there's some fantasy that we can get it all connected at some point and get it up. And Bob Bacala
Which would be very
of
nice.
Fishkill has been really, I really admire people who see opportunities for their towns and villages, and he's really been involved because, there's a hope that we can get it up past Beacon, and then if we can get it up past Beacon, then why can't we get it all the way to Poughkeepsie? And then you're starting to see some really interesting interconnected networks for people, on bikes and things like that.
Well, I think probably if anybody was a real dreamer, they would say it's so great to have all the way from New York City up that you can walk, you can bike, you can hike all the way up. We have some impediments along the way.
Right.
Some of them are money and being able to do it, but others are structural mountains and
Right. Yeah,
things
there's
that come into play.
Nothing's impossible. It just takes
No,
some creative
no.
engineering and funding.
The guys are great. The project people that were chosen are have shown all these different options, for where the trail could go. Some of them being very sort of ambitious and very much right on the river, and some, more modestly and utilitarian, on the east side of 9D and stuff. And they haven't taken anything off the table. And there's some thought about how to make it a hybrid, and it's really brought together some of the best thinkers. And then also, you have a lot of people from parks and the New York, New Jersey
Trailway.
Yeah.
Trailway.
Right. Yes.
And then you have a lot of citizens who are doing a lot of intel gathering to like we went out when Mark first put out the call and said we want to revive this project because it happened in 2007 and the recession kind of put it on ice. When he brought this back out, I thought, oh gosh, that's what everybody talks about all the time, is wanting to get this trail going again. What happened? So some friends and I went out with clipboards just to get intel from people about what they wanted. And first of all, there were about 10 languages per time that we would go out to the trailhead at Breakneck Ridge.
Oh, okay. You went right physically to where most people were going.
Yeah,
with
we
the
put
trail.
on our parkas and
You look the part. Good.
yeah. We looked like hikers. There was Japanese, Indian, French, German, Swedish. It was beautiful.
Right.
And they all said bathrooms, trash can, better signs. How do I get to Cold Spring? Because I want a beer at the end of this and stuff like that. But then the most amazing thing was that there were 1,000 of them in one day. And I think that we'd gone out saying, this is going to be really crowded. There's going to be like 200 people. And it was 1,000. And now the New York, New Jersey Trail Conference has been posting people down at the bottom of Breakneck and counting people, and they're counting 2,000 people per weekend, which
my goodness.
just gives
Wow.
us the sense of urgency and understanding of what's really going on here. So, it's really been building a lot of steam, and so you have these great planners who know what to do with all of that information, and you don't get that relationship every day.
Right.
I've been involved in a lot of different projects. This is much more, this is functioning at a higher level than most things.
I like to say it takes a region, not just a village nowadays, because the stakeholders involved are 4 municipalities. It's the City of Beacon, Town of Fishkill, Town of Phillipstown, Village of Cold Spring, the 2 counties, Dutchess and Putnam County, then 3 state stakeholders, New York State Parks and DOT, Metro North, and then we've got local land trusts that are involved. Scenic Hudson, Hudson Highland Land Trust has been a great partner as well. Open Space Institute, and local friends groups, Friends of Fonsdock, Hudson Highland State Park, and the Little Stony Point Citizens Association. So it really does take a region to bring this together and hopefully see this vision through.
Well, it's such a large group for the focus, which is really great. And so once the planners, they come back in June, there'll be a nice community meeting, which hopefully people that are watching this program will come to. And then they'll really try to figure out what the real game plan is, I suppose.
Right.
And from that, price it out?
Exactly. Again, they're looking at the full scope, but we're going to break it up into different phases because we won't be able to apply for funding or receive funding for the whole length. I imagine it'll be pretty cost prohibitive to do that. But if we break it up into smaller phases, it becomes a lot more manageable and appealing to potential funders. So that'll be part of the plan, is actually identifying what some of these priority phases are, and like you said, what the cost estimates will be. And then we can start pursuing different funding mechanisms to do so, to start the design and engineering.
What basically do you think comes first? I mean, what is it? Just to make it safer on the road and do some work that way, or
right now, last year we received $100,000 from the state's consolidated funding application through New York State Parks, their recreational trails program, and that'll go to formalize one of the parking lots, the parking lot across from Little Stony Point. And that was a recommendation we had actually heard from New York State DOT from the very beginning, is create these anchor points to get cars off the road, since that seems to be one of the major problems, possibly with car doors opening or folks along the shoulder. So that was one of the earliest projects that we flagged as being a priority. It was in the southern portion, one of the areas that was more developed. So we hope to get going on that shortly. And then one of the other projects is a cold spring sidewalk improvement. And we're looking for funding for that right now, and that'll extend the sidewalk.
It'll be down by the river? Is that what you're thinking?
It'll go from Mayor's Park in Cold Spring up to Little Stony Point. The sidewalk ends, and again, people are off on the shoulder, dirt shoulder, and the speed limit isn't too great there, but again, if we can shore up that southern end, then we can start making our way north. But I imagine one of the other priority areas is going to be the Breakneck train stop to the Breakneck trailhead section. Again, making sure that folks that get off the train or need to get back to the train have a safe route to go, as well as formalize the parking lot there.
Yeah, there's a lot we can do with our citizen energy to and this great funding that the $100,000, in terms of putting the priorities on getting the anchors straight, and then citizens can also get involved with shoring up the anchors with this sort of great shed that we want to build that will welcome people in. So that my joke is that we don't want to.
What do you mean by a shed? Is this a informational kind of center?
Yeah,
is
yeah.
That what you're referring to a building?
Here's amenity.
I called it a shack, and everyone said, "No, you got to call it a shack." I think it's an opportunity that they had a great storage shed, and some people from Little Stony Point Citizens Association said, "Why don't we create a value added?" So it's not just storing, axes. Let's have actually a porch, and let's have some access, and let's have some bathrooms and signs and history, because there's so much history. And let's make this more than just a tool shack. So
that sounds like a very good.
It's going to be
beginning
welcoming.
too.
Yeah.
Right.
So what we're trying to do is, look at the anchors that will connect everything, and then piecemeal make all of those connections happen as well. But there's a lot of ways that citizens can be part of shoring keeping the excitement up, and also shoring up the anchors along the way and safening them.
So this citizens group that you're involved with and founded or whatever else, how do people get themselves involved in it? Do you have a special website or anything that can lead people there?
The best thing, it's the Hudson Fjord Trail .org, and the best thing to do is put your name in and be added to our Google list. And Mark's been really great about keeping that all cleaned up and keeping people. So we meet at my house. You know, there's a kind of a steering committee of different people like Hank Osborne and stuff. So we kind of report in on what the scuttlebutt is around our agencies, and I make the muffins. but
That's good.
so we talk about, so we kind of keep our ears and antennae out. But this Google group is great because when there's something big like this road race that might be coming up in the fall, to get people out and excited about the Fjord Trail, you know, people can find a way to plug in, and there will be a lot of great ways that are adapted to what people can actually offer.
So is this the road race one of the first fundraisers? Is it going to be a fundraiser, or is it, well, you have to cover your costs.
Probably.
Yeah, the idea is there's an organization in New York City Runs, and they've been looking to do an event here in the Hudson Valley.
Yeah, to get out of the city.
And Ray Fusco is the event coordinator who's been working with New York City Runs, and he approached us and he asked how we could team up, how this could be more or less the first fundraiser for the
mutually beneficial. Yeah, he's been great
for the trail
That's
project.
wonderful.
And we're still working through a lot of the details, but essentially there would be a fee to cover their costs, and then there would be an opportunity for the participants to actually contribute to the Fjord Trail. And experience what it is today, and then hopefully next year we'll have built a few more parts, and over the years, or hopefully ultimately once it's finished.
As few years as possible, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Right?
Ultimately, then I imagine the trail would go, or the race would go right along the trail, so folks would be able to see it as the trail evolves.
Now, is this anywhere near the Hudson River that they'd be doing it, or no? That wouldn't be available yet.
Not near the river. But I think one of the alignments for the race might be along Route 9D. But I think they'll try to get as close to the river as possible to highlight that.
Right.
Yeah.
So the river part is that the harder part to get to? I mean, you have to get over, you have tracks, you have parking on one side.
That's one of the challenges, right, is if there were to be a shoreline option, there are only a few crossings, railroad crossings. There's one at Little Stony Point that's not ADA accessible, but a little bit more friendly for folks that are disabled or the elderly. And then there's more or less a land bridge, if you will, at Breakneck that can get people across, but that's only for able-bodied folks. And then there's the pedestrian overpass at the train stop. And then the next one isn't up until Beacon. So that is one of the challenges that we'll have to work through. The consultant may come back and say, maybe we'll create a new overpass, or maybe we can create retrofit the existing one so that they are ADA accessible, so that everybody can really access the riverfront.
Yeah.
Because that would really be lovely to be able to. You were talking before about people not having a place to fish.
That's right.
Anymore, and I just think people that want to walk along the Hudson River, that's the most marvelous river in the world, I think. So.
Yeah, one of Richard Shea's first points when we first started talking about this project was we want to make sure that people aged 8 to 80 can access this trail, because right now Breakneck Ridge and some of these other trails are really for only able-bodied folks, and there are no facilities for folks in wheelchairs or for
strollers.
I
mean, all of the above, for any time.
Young people with children in
Yeah.
strollers and so on, right? Yes.
Yeah, so the goal of the project is really to make sure that this is multi-generational and ADA accessible, so that everybody can truly experience these resources that we have here in the Hudson Valley.
And there are other places that I'm a traveler, I'm a singer-songwriter, so I go everywhere. There are a lot of people who've created this kind of trail for a lot less, view shed than we.
Right. Maybe they have flat land.
Challenging. Yeah.
So it's true.
No
we've
railroad.
We've got the varied terrain in terms of how to put the trail, but that's because we have so much varied terrain in terms of the beauty. When you climb up these mountains and you can see miles of the Hudson River and the history, because we have the Revolutionary War history and there's just a lot going on. It'll be really exciting to open that up to the world the way it really needs to be. Right now, it's so hodgepodge how people are getting there, and as I said, the shoes they're wearing and stuff. We need to kind of offer all these different ways of accessing this really beautiful area.
And it's amazing how successful the walkway has been up in Poughkeepsie. People really love it. We're working at the other end on the Tappan Zee Bridge to have opportunities for people to walk or bike or jog or whatever. And so I think we're really all trying to use the Hudson River as much as we can because it's so gorgeous.
Yeah.
And this project is right there in line with that. So.
It's really happening too, which is great.
Right. So in 2000, so probably decisions are going to be made in 2014 exactly where to go. Would you say, Mark?
Yeah, again, is with the help of all our stakeholders, with the 4 municipalities and the counties and participation from the public. Again, is the master plan will give us that vision of, again, looking at the feasibility of these different alignments, coming up with that preferred alignment. And again, there's preferred on, is it the cost, is it the engineering that'll be done? But again, we'll have that sort of as the toolbox that we can use. But right, is in 2014, I think that'll be then the launching of going for the actual design, engineering, and actual construction of the project. What we're trying to do now is identify funding and implement projects that we know can get done regardless of what the master plan will tell us.
I know, I'm sure you've gotten some government funding, the state funding with economic development, but there'll be others that will come through the state and so on. But I think you've started to reach out and gotten some private dollars. Haven't you gotten some interest with people?
It's been a great public-private partnership between state dollars, federal dollars, and then Hudson Highlands Land Trust, Scenic Hudson, Open Space Institute have all provided funding to match different grants or even just specific projects that they had an interest in. So like I mentioned, we received $100,000 from the CFA. We've received over about $21,000 from New York State Greenway to help pay for the master plan. And again, what I like about this is it's seed money and really provide a catalyst for other funding mechanisms, like you mentioned. It really attracts these private funders who say, great, the state's bought into this, or these other entities have bought into this. I'm going to now provide a one-to-one match or provide additional funding to help keep this project going. So it isn't just a state-funded project, but it really, again,
is. It's nice. It's a two-way street, though, because also when the state sees the private citizens are stepping up and that they care about this, we're actually. Our Friends group is actually under the umbrella of the Friends of Fonsstock and Hudson Highlands group, which is a really go-getting organization. I mean, they're just really involved with a lot of projects that people have good associations with. So when I think that when the state, that the Putnam Tourism Association, they're very interested, and they're really poised in taking a look at how we get ourselves involved. So when the private folks get involved, I think that interests the state and vice versa. We each need to know that the other cares enough.
It's a real coordinated effort, isn't it?
So that no one feels like they're carrying the other's water, and it's really, and so we've been, that's why I like to be a citizen, sort of proving that this is our home and we can put a lot into this to make it happen. Right.
Well, I know you're going to have great success. Yeah. I just know it. I think it's just such a wonderful, wonderful project, and I hope that the people that are watching today will get involved. And where do they go again? What's the website?
HudsonFjordTrail.org, or they can contact me at Scenic Hudson.
And Mark's been great. Mark's the one who just harmonizes everything. So, and without Mark, we wouldn't have been able to find each other. So people can find Mark. People should find Mark.
Right. Everybody go find Mark. Be involved in the Fjord project. Yeah. It's great. I am involved and will continue to be so, and working with our state agencies, and I know they're involved too. So we'll have a chance for everybody to do a lot of hiking and a lot of walking and seeing our beautiful river and our mountains. I want to thank you both very much.
Thank you.
If any questions, please give me a call at 914-941-1111. Thank you very much.